Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Scott Jennings absolutely nails it on exactly what Trump is doing and how the mainstream media is completely missing the point. Even CNN is forced to admit that he's right. Let's dive in.
Let's fast forward to what's happening right now. There are no tariffs. There's a pause on this because, as has been reported by CNN and every other news outlet, both Mexico and Canada have reached agreements today with Donald Trump to do what we want them to do, which is to put people and technology and resources at the border to stop the flow of people and drugs, illegal immigration, stem the tide. That is the whole point of this exercise. And that is apparently what is happening. And yes, there have been some troops there in Mexico. This is an agreement to do permanent deployment. And yes, some of this stuff in Canada was already announced, but now they were dragging their feet. Now their feet are held to the fire. They've got 30 days to really implement, and they can't pussyfoot around anymore. So the point of this exercise today, to me, had less to do with trade and more to do with saying to our neighbors, you need to be better neighbors. We are more important to your economy than you are to ours, so you need to help us with our serious problem, which is illegal immigration and people dying from fentanyl. And they both said yes today, and that is a win for Donald Trump.
Catherine, to Ashley's point, quantify what the actual impact is here. For people saying, look, the market bounced back, no tariffs were put into place, Trump got what he wanted, all's well, we'll do this again in 30 days. Is that kind of the reality from an economic perspective?
I mean, I don't know what Trump wanted in this situation. Again, he didn't actually get anything. But if he were to put these tariffs in place, they would be very painful for American consumers. Okay, Scott. I mean, this is
a total lie.
This is public information.
He got what he wanted. He got an agreement from our neighbors to do more on the border. That's what he wanted, and he got it.
Exactly what they have already been doing.
I understand you're the minister of propaganda tonight, but you don't have to be. You could just say, "Hey, all's well that ends well." Here, come on.
If you don't know that these countries are committing to do exactly what they have already been doing, either you haven't done your homework or you think the American people are idiots. Because again, they're doing
option three. Donald Trump is enforcing what needs to be done at the border, which is more help from our friends. They are our allies and they are important people, but they need to help us, and they've not been helping us, and now they're going to help us even more.
They have been.
But the point is that it's also
ask every family with a fentanyl death how much they've been helping.
Scott, can I just ask you?
Well, they have done nothing more.
Scott, can I ask you though? Like, this playbook is like he's got one play. On some level. At some point, the market's going to stop taking this serious, I presume. I think part of the freak out this morning was everybody didn't really take it totally seriously, given the scale of things. Is there ever going to come a point where he's going to actually do what he says on tariffs?
Maybe. I don't know. I think it's dependent upon them. I mean, look, the reality is they have to do more, and we are more important to them than they are to us. We are a bigger economy. We are just a bigger player, and we have lots of equities at stake here beyond the economy, beyond trade. We have people all over this country dying, including in my home state of Kentucky, from fentanyl overdoses. It is a scourge. It is a disaster, and it needs to be dealt with. The illegal immigration crisis is what propelled Trump back to the White House in the first place.
The funding. Whoa.
Just real quick, Catherine.
If you're suggesting this is about reducing fentanyl deaths, which I agree is 100% a very important, critical national issue, why did Trump kill the funding last year that would have put in place better technology at our border to detect fentanyl?
Donald Trump wasn't the president last year. He's the president now.
We got a lot.
All of the Republicans to kill it.
We got a lot more to get to. Guys, thank you very much.
Dems are upset.
Scott?
Dems are upset.
Scott Jennings is an absolute menace. So of course, yes, Dems are upset because Donald Trump is once again having success. But let's work backwards here. That last claim by this panelist of, Donald Trump killed the bill in 2024 that would have really updated and beefed up the border. Remember, that bill had a poison pill in there that essentially said if anyone is caught crossing our border illegally and goes up to an ICE agent or any federal agent and says, I am a refugee, then they're let inside the United States without any vetting process whatsoever. That is fundamentally one of the problems with illegal immigration. They're not being vetted. That's the fundamental issue. That's issue number one right there. It's not the fact that they're here. It's that we don't know why they're here. Okay? Once we establish that, then we can talk and have a conversation. But Democrats don't even want that. Because the moment they start talking about whether someone should be in the United States or not, they're basically admitting to themselves that, hey, a lot of our policies and rhetoric might actually be a bunch of hogwash, and the American people might actually start scratching their heads or stroking their chins and going, yeah, this doesn't make much sense now, does it? So ultimately, when a Democrat brings up the idea that Trump killed the bipartisan bill, yeah, and I'm kind of glad he did, because again, there was enough of a poison pill in that bill to basically destroy any of the other progress. That's a big problem when it comes to our legislative process and legislative branch. If you throw in a bunch of stuff into a bill and call it a good thing, the reality is you're likely accidentally throwing some arsenic in there, okay? I do not want to drink arsenic soup. I don't want arsenic in my legislation either, okay? It's that simple when it comes to illegal immigration. So that's the legislative side of this. Now let's talk about the rhetorical side. Donald Trump has been promising tariffs. He has been talking about this for a long time. When he went on Joe Rogan, he spent about 20 minutes talking about how the United States used to get all of its tax revenue from tariffs. That's how it used to happen before the 1913 bill that got passed into law, that passed through Congress, passed through the Constitution even. There was an amendment that gave Congress the ability to pass an income tax. And they wanted that in the Constitution so no one could ever deal with the problem again, or if they did, it would make it such a difficult issue that it would almost be impossible to pass. And so, before 1913, when we actually had progressive reform that allowed the federal government to intercede in certain areas, and then it established a massive bureaucracy that has never subsided. We have never gotten smaller. The only time that there was ever a slight shrinkage of our federal government was in the 1990s when Newt Gingrich held Bill Clinton's feet to the fire when it came to overloading the federal government with ridiculous policies and ideas. That working relationship worked pretty well until Bill Clinton perjured himself in front of Congress. So, we used to make all of our tax revenue through tariffs. That's not exactly a viable solution, in my opinion, today, but the weaponization of rhetoric, which is what Donald Trump does so well. The whole idea of going on Joe Rogan and spending that much time talking about tariffs was to remind the world that if he gets in power again, it's time to renegotiate. It's time to relook at our trade deals. That is something that made Donald Trump's first presidency. Again, he renegotiated NATO alliances, okay? He made Europe start paying more of its fair share into the NATO pool. They didn't used to do that. The United States used to do that for them. Well, that time's over. And it's been over ever since Trump's first term in office. Then he got better trade deals with Great Britain and Canada and Mexico and Japan. And then he even started a tariff war with China. That was a bit of a tit for tat. That was the only thing that you could even consider a loss for Trump. And the reality was it was just a 50-50 Pyrrhic victory. Okay? There's nothing bad, nothing good. It was just neutral. And so now that's kind of water under the bridge. And now he's renegotiating with China as we speak. And then, furthermore, just to talk about his foreign policy goals and ideals in general, he was even able to talk with Kim Jong-un in North Korea. That is unprecedented. And so that kind of unprecedented nature is what we need to sort of shake up the world structure. To remind the world that, hey, we've been letting a whole lot of countries get away with too much for too long. It's time to renegotiate things. And finally, I want to end with this talking point. The panelists would also try to stop Scott Jennings and say, well, the Canadians were already planning to do this. Well, Scott Jennings correctly points out that the Canadians were dragging their feet on the issue. Okay? The whole point of forcing these tariffs was really to get Canada to step up its game when it comes to protecting its citizens from fentanyl coming in over, strangely enough, into our border or vice versa. That's a two-way street, and we can work with Canada in that way. Mexico then halted their tariffs, and it looks like we're about to halt ours. And now they are committing more border agents to protect American citizens from fentanyl, and hopefully that will help them get control of their own cartel problem. I think this is a new day for international relations, and it's a new day for North America. And the new day and that new sun is rising, and I think it's prettier than the sunrise beforehand. All because we're looking at our leverage and we're trying to go tit for tat, and now we're realizing that we can actually put our thumb on the scale for good reasons and good outcomes. There's a reason why we're talking about tariffs while also trying to dismantle USAID, USAID, which is arguably an arm of the CIA for propaganda all over the world, but that's a longer topic for a longer day. Ultimately, these trade deals are a good thing. We're trying to get good results, and we're trying to argue in good faith with our neighbors, just reminding them who's in charge without really going overboard. That is the art of the deal. And that's what Scott Jennings is trying to explain to these people, and I don't think they're going to get it. I don't think the CNN viewers are fully going to understand this, but maybe a few will. And those that do, I think they're starting to see the light. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. And until then, y'all have a good one.